G'day guys, welcome back to SuperCoach with DR and welcome to the round 4 review. I've just got home from Ballarat, spent 4 days down there with the family, which is really nice, but that meant that I didn't get to watch a whole heap of football. So this round review, it'll be a pretty quick fire one, and then in the stock market video for this week, I'll go into a lot more detail about these players and others obviously. But SuperCoach wise, for me, 22-17, I think that score for the round was above par. What was the round rank there? 1726, so I think that was the case. If you went above 2200 this week, you should be pretty happy. For the first time this year, my overall rank is in 3 figures, 839, so really pleased with that. And it's a really positive sign that I have moved up in the ranks from rounds 1 to 4 each week. So I don't think there are any major holes in the team at this stage. What I am missing is probably a Jack McRae or a Jack Steele. I'm one big midfielder down. I'll look to try to rectify that as soon as possible, but for this week I'm looking to make probably the one trade, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But let's have a look at how the side is actually going. I might just zoom out there a little bit. So the premium defenders, Jake Lloyd, we'll start off with him. A 95, look, I'll keep this pretty simple. I think with Lloyd this year, he's still going to be a really solid selection, but we've got to temper our expectations for a season average, and I think that Jordan Dawson taking a large majority of those kickouts has now taken away the Seagull's ceiling. Now, we call him the Seagull for a reason. He'll still get those cheap possessions, but I think in the past 2 seasons, he has relied on taking a lot of those kickouts in order to boost that average right up to the 125 plus. So given the fact that some of those kickouts have been, or a lot of those kickouts have now been taken away from him, then that average, yeah, I think will be more around the 110 to possibly 115 mark if we're lucky this year. But still a solid selection. I'm not regretting starting him as a starting selection, but if you're a non-owner, then the positive sign is that for the first time in a couple of years, you should be able to get him at a pretty decent price. The man next to him, Jordan Ridley, has now replaced him, in my opinion anyway, as the number 1 defender in SuperCoach. I think this bloke is an absolute must-have. At half-time, I think he was only on a 45 from memory, but he ended up having about an 80-point second half, which was absolutely fantastic. So I was thinking about even chucking the vice-captaincy option on him. I think he's a realistic selection for a vice-captaincy option this year, Jordan Ridley. If you want to play it safe, I think you can go close to locking in a 120 plus score from him each week. So I'm absolutely wrapped to have him in the side, and he should be the next premium defender that you look to get into your side if you can. I wouldn't move heaven and earth for it, but the sooner the better, I think, with Jordan Ridley. Jayden Short, again, I think he's almost a lock for a top 6 defender in 2021. Last week I said you won't see him kick the ball as badly as he did, and I didn't get to see much of the game, but obviously with a score of 125, that kicking efficiency must have been right up again. So wrapped to have Jayden Short in my side. Tommy Stewart, a 104, a little bit disappointed last week, but I think that was his flaw. He's come back with another 100 plus score. I'm tipping him to finish with about a 105 average. So can't complain with a 104. That's probably what you expect from Stewart most weeks, I think. Jordan Clark, now, he's been a disappointing starting selection. If you had have gone CJ over Clark, you are absolutely laughing now. But I'll look to probably keep Clark for at least the next week or two, and then look to make a move on him, get him out of the side, and get another premium into my into the starting 22. Now, the good thing with Clark is that he does have that DPP status, so I could get Laird back there in the defensive line and bring a midfielder in, or else I could go with someone even like a Lockie Jones from Port. But not too sure on his job security, but we'll talk about him in the stock market video anyway. Chapman, now he was my late trade in this week. Originally, I wasn't looking to trade this week. I was looking to conserve trades, but in the end, this trade just made sense. Cozzy, he was going to be a real slow burn anyway. When does he get back into the side? I'm not too sure if he comes back this week. Apparently, he was just managed. So, yeah, again, does he come back in? I can't predict that. And I just thought it was a smart move getting Chapman in, mainly because I didn't want to have to field Butts each week. Now, that 95 they got last week from Butts, I think I got pretty lucky, to be honest. And I did mention that he was that real break glass in case of emergency type selection on your field. And Chapman, I think, just has much better scoring potential. So with a 91 on field, certainly can't complain with that. And he'll make some really nice coin, at least in the short term anyway. So really happy with that late trade-in selection there. And Highmore, yeah, obviously, again, he didn't play, but I just want to keep on to him because surely he's got to get games during the season at some stage, but obviously a very slow burn at this stage and no guarantee to make money, but I'm not looking to trade him out at this stage, I don't think. Now, Piggy Oliver, I was absolutely wrapped with the 130. Look, I thought if you got an 80 to 100, I'd be pretty happy with that because, yeah, what's his name? Mark O'Connor. He has done a bit of a number on some players in the first few rounds of the season. Lachie Neale, obviously, but again, is that just due to Lachie Neale's form? Titch, he managed to break through that tag to get a 90-odd score, which was nice from Titch. That's always a good sign, but it's an ultra good sign the fact that Oliver could still break that tag and finish with the 130, so much higher than what I expected. Love the Piggy Oliver pick. Zach Merritt, again, been underwhelming. I'm just disappointed because it looks like he needs a lot of the ball in order to get a nice Supercoach score. I don't want to be paying that much for a bloke at the start of the season to be getting around a 105 average. It's just a disappointing pick at this stage, but I'm hoping they can bounce back. I wish I had have paid up a little bit more for a Jack McKay or a Jack Steele though. Now Titch, again, just disappointed with a 107 score. It's not the worst score in the world, but I just thought that he was looking at a 140, 150 type score on the weekend, and it just seems like he needs to get a lot of the peel to score well. So I'm probably a little bit biased because I'm an owner, but I just think that 107, he's got a little bit ripped off there. I thought it was a 120 plus game, but again, he's not the most damaging type player, and yeah, he does need to get a lot of the peel to score well, but the positives are that each week he does get a lot of the pill. So I still think he's going to be a good selection, but have been a little bit disappointed the last couple of weeks with his scores. Rory Laird, a 105. This could have been anything at half time. What was he on about? A 75-80 odd score, but in the end, he got a pretty hard tag. I think Turner played on him for a little bit, but most of us have him, and 105, yeah, not the worst score in the world, but wanted a little bit more, particularly against North Melbourne, and given the fact he was just on fire at the start of the game. Errol, 68, so probably 75 average, I think, from here on in. When are you going to trade him out? I'm not planning on trading him anytime soon, but yeah, it's going to be a big play, trading out Errol, and it could really define your season because he could really hit back with a 120 plus type score. We've seen they can already do that, or else he might throw in a 40 at some stage as well. So that's going to be a big move when you trade out Errol. Tommy Powell, a 101, absolutely fantastic. So his cash generation, that's going to start to go right back up again, and hopefully he can go around 350 plus. That would be really, really nice from Tom Powell and extremely handy. But a 101, absolutely fantastic from him. James Jordan, I was raving about him after the first couple of rounds, but I don't know what's happened to his time on ground. A score of 24 on your field, that's really, really disappointing because I was really relying on this bloke for a 70 plus each week. So given the fact he's only managed to pump out a 24 there, his cash gen, that's going to halt for a while. I still think that he can average okay, but the role that he was playing and his time on ground was really, really concerning. Yeah, I may have overrated James Jordan, but I'm hoping they can bounce back. Sam Berry, again, another standard Berry game. He tackles well, doesn't get a heap of the ball, but he always has a couple of really nice moments throughout games, Berry. So, again, as an on-field selection, yeah, you're not wrapped with this, but who else do you have there, to be quite honest? You know, it's a bit of a raffle each week, and I'm not disappointed with Berry. I think that 51 is okayish with the other scores that we can choose from at this stage. Brockman, 44. I don't think he'll get it dropped. I think that he'll manage to hold his spot most weeks because I think Clarko is a fan. Again, he's one of those players that can have an impact on the game with limited disposal. But yeah, that impact, I'd like to see a bit more consistency, but I'm not looking to trade him yet. Hopefully he can make us a little bit more cash. Scott, at 26, did not even notice this bloke at the game. You don't look to probably trade him out this week because all he needs is a nice 70 plus score for that cash gen to start rolling again. But do we expect that? And when do we expect that? I'm really not too sure. Does he even play this week? Again, I expect him to drop this week. So Bevo's obviously keeping the faith, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with Scott. We'll just have to reassess this pick, I think, when the teams are announced. Onto the big boys in the ruck. So Grundy, obviously really disappointing there with a 92. But Gawn, a 135. I'm just stoked that I started with this bloke. And if you didn't start with him, then I think he is now starting to hurt you a little bit. Now, if you are not a set and forget type coach and you've gone with one of these guys and a Flynn and a Meek, then this round you got found out a little bit given the fact that Flynn was out, and you'd be a little bit scared as well given the fact that Mummy played really, really well and, to be honest, dominated Grundy in the ruck, that Flynn may not even be playing again this week. Do they give Mummy one more week and then get Flynn back in? I'm really not too sure, but you would be a little bit nervous if you're not one of those set and forget coaches going into this round. But we will get more information as the teams are announced, hopefully. But Grundy, I was just expecting him to dominate Mumford. I thought he'd run him off his feet, but Mumford played him really, really smartly, I think. And look, a 92, again, it's not the end of the world. His break-even, I think, was about an 80, so I still think that he made a little bit of cash there, which was nice. I'm not worried about being a set forget owner, and I'm actually really, really pleased that I'm in this position at the moment. I think this is looking really good because you've got two premiums there, which are obviously keepers, and then I'm at this stage, after 4 rounds of data, now pegging Zeeble and Impey as keepers as well. But Josh Dunkley, he is an absolute must-have. If you don't have him for any reason, he needs to be your next forward upgrade, in my opinion. Dusty, now this has been extremely disappointing because it's played out like I thought it would play out this season, the Dusty pick. I've got him in, obviously not for those 2 big scores, but for those mid sort of 80 type scores, and that's extremely disappointing. I think that I panicked a little bit after the first 2 rounds, but I suppose in my defence, he did look like a different beast in those first couple of rounds, but I should have really stuck to my gut with this selection. That's why I didn't start him. And if I'd have gone with someone like a Tex, for example, then I'd be absolutely laughing at this stage. But I suppose that's a price I pay for going a little bit safer. If I had have maybe taken a bit more of a risk with this trade, obviously I'm not disappointed that I got Phillips out. But at the end of the day, Phillips has averaged pretty close to what Dusty has in the last couple of weeks. So would I rather have Dusty or Phillips in the side? I'd certainly much rather have Dusty in there, but would I rather have Phillips and an extra 150k to spend elsewhere? Probably. So a little bit disappointed with that trade, but most people have Dusty. It's not the worst trade in the world, but I wish I had have gone a little bit different with that selection. Zeeble, absolutely wrapped. Given the fact that McDonald's out, he's going to keep this role, and I think the role that he's currently playing and the way that he's scoring suggests that he's going to be a keeper. So that's really, really handy for me. And I don't have to use another trade in my forward line to bring in an extra keeper because I think Zeeble is going to be certainly up there in the top 10 averaging forwards by season's end. I think it's the same with Jarman Impey. So 112 for Impey. I'm just stoked with this selection. And again, similar to Zeeble, I now think that this guy has definitely the potential to be a keeper. More likely than not, I'd think at this stage. Now, again, it's 4 rounds of data, but from what I can see, they love to get the ball in his hands. He used it pretty well. A couple of mistakes over the weekend, but just a real exciting type player. I thought that he'd average around the 80 mark, but again, with the role that he's playing this year, he's looking to go around that 100 for an average, which I think will be enough for me this year for a forward keeper. Chad Warner, 86. Again, absolutely wrapped with this bloke. Is he a keeper even? Well, he's got a really good role there through the Sydney midfield. I know they love him as a side. He's averaging 90 at the moment. Will that be enough in our forward lines? Look, possibly. If I look through the list of forwards at the moment, Rowan Marshall, he was pretty underwhelming. Butters is injured at the moment. I really do like the Butters pick. He dominated over the weekend. Bad luck if you're a Butters owner because I think you've got to trade him now. Talk about him in the stock market video. Players like Heaney I'm not interested in. Who do you bring in? It's Dangerfield is going to be a must-have in my opinion. Certainly Campbell, he's not going to be a keeper, but Warner, you could keep onto this bloke for a long time, I think. So my F1 to F5, I'm extremely happy with at the moment. It's that F6 that is a bit of a slight concern, so I will look to upgrade that as soon as I can. But overall, the forward line, I think, is looking really, really nice. So that is... I suppose a quick outline of how the side is going. Now, trades for me this week. Now, this can always change, but I think there's a really obvious one for me. Oh, sorry, I didn't mention and talk about Paddy Dow or James Rowe either. Now, both of these selections, I was a little bit disappointed with after last round. Rowe, I'm feeling a lot better about this week. Dow, he is an absolute dud. So I'm not going to rag on Paddy Dow and pay him out, but you know how I feel about Dow. After what I said about him last week, he's got to go this week. There's no point in keeping him down. He's just a dead rookie. I suppose the advantage for me, he is at that 200k mark, and I can make a little bit of money. So the real obvious one for this week is to bring in Waterman, I think. So he's looked pretty good, to be quite honest. I wanted to give him one extra week. I was thinking about going down to Waterman even last week, but I thought, nah, again, I'm going to keep it pretty safe. I know that Dow's not going to lose a heap of cash, even if he throws in another stinker like he did this week. And obviously Waterman's not going to go up, and I can still wait another week in order to get him. When he's on the bubble, I like what I saw from him. I'm happy to bring him into my side. I won't have to play him on field, but to be quite honest, if you're comparing him with someone like a Braden Campbell, yeah, it's a bit of a decision that you do have to make. The rookie roulette, yeah, you win some, you lose some, but that is a decision that I'll really have to make going into the future, or in the short term anyway. Who do I field out of Campbell, Rowe, and Waterman? Yeah, it's always a tough one, isn't it? But that's what I'm looking to do this week anyway, guys. Let me know what you think. Again, I haven't gone into great detail here. I will wait for the stock market video this week to go into more detail about all these selections. So, hope everything is well. Good luck with your selections this week, and I'll see you soon in the stocky. Cheers, guys. Bye.